guys? And Navarrete?
Eso depende de la compañía y mi equipo que trabaje en pelear con los mejores, para eso mismo.
No. I mean, I would fight anyone. It depends on the company, my team, and who's next. I want to fight the best.
Granted, but if it was up to you, if you could choose your next opponent, would it be Navarrete or would it be another one of the title holders?
If he's there, if he's available, of course I would fight.
And I have to ask you because when you beat Shakur in the Olympics for the gold medal, obviously Shakur has gone on to become a pretty big star in the boxing world. Do you see that fight happen between you guys, man?
No creo que esa pelea se dé. Ya él está en otra división. Creo que yo en la 156 libras que tiene, en mi plan, ser campeón a la 156, hacer una unificación. Por lo tanto, creo que no es el momento de hablar de Shakur. Le deseo lo mejor, él está en su división, hemos tenido buenas relaciones. Por lo tanto, no creo que sea el momento de hablar.
Yeah, I wish Shakur the best. We have a great relationship. I don't see that fight happening. He's at his weight class right now, and I think he's going to keep moving up. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm very comfortable at 126. That's my division. I'm clear that division, and then we'll see in the future. But it's not something that's top of mind enough for me.
Gotcha. And just my last question is the goal to become undisputed at 126? And where do you see kind of like your cap in terms of your weight? How high up do you think you get?
Bueno, en 126 sí, 100% es ganar mi campeonato mundial, unificar todos los títulos. Y creo que cuando más, hablando de un futuro de 5, 6, 7 años, 135, pero no creo porque yo no creo más.
Yeah, definitely. Undisputed and clearing the division at 126 is the goal. It's where I'm comfortable. At most, maybe 135 in 5, 6, 7 years. But I'm not banking on it because obviously, I'm not growing anymore, and I'm comfortable with my weight.
What's good, YouTube? It's KB with JusDueBoxing, back with another video. And I wanted to give my quick thoughts to the Just Do family on an interview that Robeisy Ramirez did a couple days ago. As we know, he recently, this past Saturday, had a fight with Abraham Nova. Abraham Nova came into the fight undefeated at 21-0 with 15 KOs. And, the fight was competitive, with Robeisy edging the rounds and, somewhat pretty much controlling the fight and ultimately getting a 5th round knockout over Abraham Nova. One punch, straight left hand that, pretty much turned Nova's lights out, in a competitive fight. Like I said, it was a big knockout for Robeisy. It's a big salute and much respect to him. I picked Robeisy to win this fight, but I didn't pick him to win by knockout. I didn't see the knockout coming, and definitely not in this fashion that early in the fight, you know what I'm saying? And, much respect to Nova as well. He competed, he just made a mistake and he got caught. This is a fight that he could definitely bounce back from. And, you just take yourself back to the drawing board, train harder, focus, learn from his mistakes and come back stronger. And I believe that's something he could do, and as for Robeisy, on the other hand, the sky's the limit for this kid, after suffering just his first defeat in his pro debut and getting knocked down. He since then avenged that loss, beat the guy by unanimous decision. About 4 fights later, he rematched the guy. And since then, he's been on a tear. And, as of late, his power has been on display, man. This kid hits a lot harder, or considerably harder than what I initially thought. And, my hat goes off to him because not only can he box, with that Cuban style and that Cuban background, but he's coming to hurt you. So instead of just, using the ring, as we know some of the Cuban fighters have been known to do, not saying he can't do it, but I appreciate what he brings to the table and what he brings to the sport of boxing in terms of wanting to engage and make the fights entertaining for the fans. And it's just something that I could appreciate, but I think a big question, was inevitable, was gonna always be asked was, what's his potential thoughts on the fight with Shakur Stevenson and the pros. As we know, he defeated Shakur in the Olympics, in the 2016 Olympics, for the gold medal, and Shakur silvered, so it's like every time Robeisy has a fight, they're gonna ask him, what's your thoughts on Shakur, or do you think it's possible that y'all gonna fight, a rematch in the pros? And he dismissed it. He pretty much ruled out the chances of him fighting Shakur, and he said he's at 126. He's not interested. He's focusing on being, undisputed at 126. And that's something that I could respect. He said Shakur Stevenson is at 130, potentially moving up to 35 soon. So he's saying basically he's in his weight class, I'm in mine. He don't see the fight happening at all. He pretty much ruled that out, he said. And, the reporter asked him, where do you see yourself capping out in terms of how high do you think you're going to go up in weight? And Robeisy said, 130, 135 at the absolute most, but that's like 5, 6, or 7 years from now. So, that's a long ways away from that. And by then, mate, who knows, Shakur Stevenson, more than likely he can be at 140, the way he's filling out and the way his body has grown. He looks like a big 130, you know what I'm saying? But I think the sky's the limit for both of these fighters. I truly respect Robeisy for coming out and not allowing them to keep attaching his name to Shakur Stevenson and asking him over and over. And I just appreciate his honesty and what he brings to the sport. He said he just don't think that fight is going to happen. But, I'm like, wow, man, I that's a fight that I would truly want to see in the professional ranks. I understand that, he beat Shakur as an amateur. He got that gold medal, which was his second gold medal for Robeisy Ramirez. But it's like, for me, I hear the commentators, and a lot of the times the reporters and people that write about this, they always asking the question, are you going to fight Shakur Stevenson as a pro? And like I said, I just think he was a class act for, pretty much ruling out that, saying, he's not gonna fight him, right now. He just don't see that in the near future or anything like that. Most fighters would just, say anything, or, say the typical answer, yeah, I'll fight him next. And I just appreciate that he didn't do any of that fake stuff. He didn't put on the act. He was very honest in how he answered the question. And it's just something that I could appreciate. And I'm glad he was honest, you know what I'm saying? So only disappointing part is it seems like we won't get this fight between the two as professionals. And that's just unfortunate for the sport of boxing, because it's no doubt where at the pace that Robeisy is headed, like, they would be on a collision course if they would end up in the same weight class again. And in his eyes, he just don't see it happening, man. But that's a fight that I would love to see. It's just a little disappointing that he completely ruled out the possibility of fighting him. But like I said, I appreciate that he didn't just allow his name to be attached to another popular fighter, a bigger name than himself at the moment. And that's what you need more of in the sport, not this fake call outs and not all this fake energy. Yeah, I'll fight him. I'm pretty sure, given the opportunity, if they were in the same weight class, he would fight him. But being that Shakur is already a weight class above him, and he feels like he's going to be moving up again soon, that'd be 2 weight classes. And Robeisy, he was honest. He said he's not that big of a guy, so he doesn't get that big. So he's comfortable at 26, and he wants to be undisputed. When they asked him about Navarrete, he said, of course, if he's available to fight, he will fight him. And I say that'd be a good next fight for Robeisy, to be honest with you. I would love to see him against Emanuel Navarrete, being that we know that Emanuel Navarrete recently turned down the opportunity to face Shakur Stevenson, to face a lesser opponent. So it don't seem like he's going to be willing to get in that ring with Shakur. So I think the Navarrete and Robeisy Ramirez fight is more makeable, being that I think those dudes will get in the ring with each other. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that's a fight that we see in the very near future, man. And like I said, 130 for Shakur, I think he's the best at 130. And I think the next fight for him should be a Joe Cordina, go after another belt. He already agreed that he'd go to England. He'd travel to make that fight. It's just the best fight and the best, and that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. And if you know Shakur and you follow his career, that's all he's about, is fighting the absolute best opponents that he could find. And he's a unified champion, so the sky's the limit. He's going to want nothing but champions and want to continue to perform at a championship level, and rightfully so. But that's my thoughts on it. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about a potential rematch, or Robeisy completely ruling out a rematch with Shakur Stevenson. And as always, y'all let me know if I gave that boy from New York, that bad man from Newark, New Jersey, his just due, because that's what I always do over here at Just Do Boxing. Until the next one, I'm out. Peace.